And we are rolling.
Yep, we are. So,
Shall we introduce ourselves?
we shall. I'm Gavin. He's James.
And we are here for the introductory and short first episode, part one, or
part
episode one.
Part one, episode one. We'll just go with
Part one of our podcasts series on historical military equipment.
Interesting ones at that, and mostly tanks, maybe some planes and other things.
Yeah, we might touch on a submarine or a boat or something down the road, or
yeah, but mostly tanks.
Or an extraterrestrial. I'm joking, of course. We're gonna touch on mostly on the history, how these were used, what battles they were used in,
right? How long they were in service, and all the information about them.
But also how big of a boom they made. Because we find
those things interesting.
We're in this sense, stereotypical males would like to set things on fire and make things go boom, and that will certainly be a part of this show.
Most definitely.
So should we give the peoples just a little taste today? We'll do a brief one.
Yeah, what should we talk about?
As our military historical expert, I'm gonna cede the topic to you for this first one. Although I have a pretty good idea, I think, what you want to do.
Alrighty, what do you want to talk about?
I think we were going to talk about that huge gun, right?
Oh, the Gustav Grab cannon?
Yes.
Yeah, let me just pull this up. Yep,
So while Gavin pulls up his notes on the Gustav, this was a Third Reich, Nazi Germany railgun cannon situated literally on railroad tracks, and I'll let him give you the details about it because he knows and he's done the work, and I have not. So.
Yep, alrighty. Now, yes, you're right. You got all that information down. It was a railway gun. It was used by Nazi Germany, and it was mainly used during World War II, when Germany was doing all that crazy stuff. That
honestly, as crazy as this thing is, one of the less sinister things that they used the rails for in World War II.
Are you sure? This is definitely
pretty sinister.
Yeah, of course it is. Now, its designer was Krupp.
K-R-U-P-P?
Yes.
Single P.
Nope, two P's.
Two P's. Krupp. I have heard of it. I honestly not going to pretend like I'm some German manufacturing expert. I think I've heard of it because of World of Tanks.
Most likely. Yeah. It was designed in 1937, and it costed 7 million RM, which is
Reichsmark.
Reichsmark.
I didn't know, and you told me this. You're the one that figured that out yesterday.
Yes,
which
Reichsmark.
We converted would have been about 15 million US dollars in the late 30s, which is an obscene amount. Like $100 million today, something like that.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Oh, big boom though.
Yes,
big boom on the bank account too. So why is this thing so damn expensive, man?
Well, mainly because it was massive.
Okay, what do you mean by? I mean, all relative, right? Like a shoulder, an RPG makes a massive explosion compared with a rifle. So,
of course.
What do you mean by massive?
Should we just go into the specifications?
Hit me with them, man.
Alrighty. Its mass was 1,350 tons.
Spelled T-O...
and N-E-S.
Imperial tons, British tons, over 1,000. Oh, baby.
Yeah, this thing weighed a lot.
I'm gonna look that up in units we would understand easier, because I wonder 1,350 TONNES in pounds. I think we'll go with
pounds. Yeah.
All right, almost 300,000 pounds. So like 3 of your mother. Ding ding ding. Sorry.
It's and yeah, here's some more reasons why it was so expensive. This thing was 47.3 meters long, or 155 feet and 2 inches long.
55 feet, almost 50 meters. That's like, oh my word. 100 meters is 1/10 of a kilometer, so this is 1/20 of a kilometer. This thing has a measure. It's yeah, it's a 20th of a kilometer long, and it sits on rail tracks, right? It's
Yes,
not
on
in
two separate rail tracks on both sides.
so it needs like a double track.
Yes, and those needed to be built. And we're going to go into more specifications of that later about the crew and stuff.
What a logistical nightmare.
Oh, you want to? Yeah, after we get to the crew and
All
how
right.
it goes into detail, but its length, oh, I'm sorry, the barrel length was 32.5 meters, or 106 feet and 8 inches. This thing was mostly gun.
2/3 plus, man. Like all 3/4 of this thing is just its gun.
Exactly.
Well, what's it
And-
shooting out of that thing? Like children?
Uh,
I don't mean infants. I mean like mid-sized children.
okay, we'll go into the.
Not shooting at, shooting out of.
Oh, yeah.
Payload, not target.
All right,
To be
so-
specific.
Now, do we want to keep going with the specifications, or do you want to actually hear?
We don't need to jump to payload. What do you got next?
Alrighty, so its width was 7.1 meters, or 23 feet and 4 inches.
Makes sense why it needs 2 tracks. Okay.
Exactly. And its height was 11.6 meters, or 38 feet and 1 inch.
So 40 feet tall. Okay. It's the size of like a small. It's the size of like an apple tree, like a full-grown apple tree.
Yeah. And here's the crew. You said it was a logistical nightmare?
Yeah.
250 people to assemble a gun in 3 days.
In battle conditions or originally in the factory?
I'm pretty sure, because it couldn't travel. They had to build it. And
Okay.
they had 2,500 people to lay track and dig embankments, and then 2 flak battalions to protect this gun from air attacks.
So flak battalions, just historical knowledge here. That's the Anti-aircraft
Anti-air
weapons,
to
right?
protect it.
when you see all the plane movie, like Memphis Belle, the old World War II plane movies, the black clouds that are exploding.
Yeah.
In the plane.
Yeah,
Um,
basically.
Yeah, and in reality, what those were basically bombs that would go off, and they would have tons of little shrapnel in them
Yes,
that
and then-
shred the plane.
And then, luckily, if you hit one, it's gone.
Yeah, if you actually hit a plane,
And,
it would
but-
be metal misted. That's called.
Now, here's the only reason why. I mean, it was produced in 1941, and there were only 2 produced. There were 2 of these things, which that just surprised me. I always thought there was just 1.
Yeah, at this enormous cost, takes 300 people to assemble. This is clearly not a frontline weapon, right? So,
Of course not.
so
And if we just go into like the caliber and how
Yeah,
and
this
how
is-
fast its rate of fire is, its caliber was 800 millimeters, and that's 31 inches.
that's 80. I was just gonna say that's 80 centimeters. 800 millimeters is 80 centimeters. A ruler, which is 12 inches, is 30 centimeters. So this is more than 2, just less than 3 inches. So the barrel was looking down the barrel. It was this wide. You could totally fire a mid-sized child out of this fucker. Oh, you know what else would totally fit as a payload? An Abigail payload. Okay, but no, seriously, those are enormous.
Oh
enormous.
yes, of
So how
course.
far can it fire? What I'm assuming
Alrighty,
are giant mortars.
it's giant mortars. Now there was 2 different rounds for this: a high explosive round and an AP round. I'm not sure what that means.
Armor piercing.
Armor piercing. What armor will you be piercing with this?
Well, how
Look-
far? It's clearly you
Okay,
can't set
so-
this up on the front lines. How far away are you shooting?
Alright,
Are you
it's
even shooting at armor, or are you
it's
just shooting at
effective.
like a whole city?
I'm not sure, but its effective firing range, so how effective it was, is 39,000 meters or 43,000 yards. But now
9,000 meters.
with the,
I mean, that's
the maximum firing range for high explosive, would be
40 kilometers, dude.
51,000 yards for the high explosive, and only 42,000 yards for the armor piercing.
That's still 40 kilometers. That's from here to like. Just from here to like UMass. Further.
Yeah.
Further than that.
Did you say Boston the other day?
Yeah, I was wrong about Boston. It's not quite that
That's-
far. We're in
yeah.
Western Massachusetts, just to be clear here.
Yes.
Springfield, Massachusetts, Holyoke, technically, but it's like we could easily hit targets from here at UMass Amherst.
Right.
We could hit your dad's house from here. Not that we'd want to,
Of course.
but we could.
We could.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
a long.
Now, here.
So yeah, the 3-day time
But
still.
this thing was super inefficient because, like, its max elevation was 48 degrees. So that's
So that's like a 45. Yeah, if you've got a major kind of hill, That's 45. If you've got a kind of major, I can actually out the window this way, so I'm not going to show the viewer, but I can see the hill over there. It would shoot right into the side of it.
Yeah.
So it couldn't even raise up enough to shoot.
Over a hill. Yeah, this thing. And here.
So as long as you had 3 days on top of a mountain.
Let's talk about.
And $100 million, you could fire a medium-sized animal at your enemies.
Yeah. So in here, let's talk about its rate of fire.
Okay.
1 round every 30 to 45 minutes, or typically 14 rounds a day.
So let's say things are going to go wrong. Yeah, and you have 12 hours of daylight. You're looking about around an hour while it's light out. I mean, I guess you could keep firing at night if you're just like hurling cows at your enemy. But
and the way it loaded was super interesting because I kind of remember is that what it did is they had to if they were at like maximum angle, they would need to set the gun down flat and then essentially like have a little dolly system where they would just shove the round in, load it up, and then have to raise up the gun again.
Well, I'm sure the rounds were incredibly heavy too,
Yes.
as well as whatever the explosive was that they used. Were they using? You know what I think we should do? Actually,
Yes.
would be perfect because we're at about over 10 minutes for this video, which is an intro. Let's call it here.
We'll do.
And in episode number 2, we're going to talk about any real battle use of the Gustav. Did it see?
Yes, it was in service for 4 years, which makes sense.
Okay, let's talk about those 4 years and how it actually performed in the real world for episode 2.
Sounds good. And let's just say, right before we end this, this thing translates in English. I'm not the greatest with German, it's a little rusty.
You're better than most.
Schwerer Gustav, which in English is heavy Gustav.
I think that's the short subtitle
Yes.
because it's missing the as fuck. Sorry, man. I couldn't help it.
No,
It's all right. I'm James. This is Gavin. This has
Yes.
been episode 1, volume 1 of
course.
what we end up naming. Who knows? But our antique heavy artillery, various battle, our military antique.
I mean, we could just leave.
Informational and silliness podcast.
Yes, we could leave. I mean, we could leave the name up to the viewers.
Sure. Let's give it a few episodes. See if we get any good name suggestions, and if we don't, we'll just name it "Poop on a Stick" tank version. No, we will not name it that. But
We'll
yeah,
not
let's
name it
see what the next few weeks bring in terms of a name.
We'll do.
Look for us to post on YouTube. We will give a idea of the time frame of postings once we're into this proper. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be about 1 episode a week, but
Most likely.
we will see how things go.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure what we're doing is like, we're going to talk about 2 different vehicles, at the same podcast.
Chances are we get about 20 minutes out of each vehicle, in
Yeah.
which case we're shooting for about 40 minutes length for the average podcast.
Yeah, I mean, what we're talking about right now, we already got like 9 minutes out of that, so
Yeah.
maybe 2 we would get.
Maybe 2 or the more interesting vehicles will be just 1,
Right.
but with a break in the middle. So once we're rich and famous, we can throw an advertising slot in there.
Of course.
It's coming, people.
Advertising.
The advertising's coming.
Of course, advertising.
We need to buy the boy a car for his 16th birthday. Click on our advertisers' links.